All right, let's dive into the crypto market today. On today's lesson, we are going to go over some breaking Ripple news where the XRP ledger is now Ethereum compatible. We're going to talk about Robinhood partnering up with a blockchain. And we are talking about Chainlink creating tokenized stocks very soon. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. But before we do, a quick disclaimer slide. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So right now, first thing I want to do is just look at the total crypto market by market cap. This is going to give us a snapshot of the overall picture of the total crypto market. And we can see right here that the total crypto market is simply stuck in this downward channel. There was a nice cup recovery, tight high consolidation here, and we had this very aggressive breakout. The market hit some resistance up here. This is really where the market found a lot of support around 3.35 trillion. That was broken here in, let's see here, early February, and that sent the market to its lows. So the major sellers are kind of sitting here between 3.35 trillion and 3.5 trillion. And then it looks like bulls did engage here around $3 trillion. $3 trillion is kind of a psychological level as well. We're seeing bulls engage the market off of those lows. So the thing that I'm simply waiting for in the market is to see if this channel does get invalidated. If we do see the market break through to the upside, or are we going to see the market find resistance again? And are we going to start looking to test the lows? So overall, the market does seem to be in that resistance area. So the market could be choppy. I'm definitely going to be tiptoeing a little bit. But the interesting thing is if we look at the stock market is broken to new highs, which is really, really interesting. So let me just clean this up a bit. So you can see here, this is the prior highs that the stock market was making, the S&P 500 on February 19th. Then the tariff news came into play. The market has since recovered and is now breaking to new highs. So we see stocks hitting new highs, breaking up, but crypto is sitting here a little bit stagnant, still stuck in this downward trend. So I'm wondering if that bullish sentiment from stocks might be able to translate into the crypto space. Another chart I like to look at is the altcoin market. So this is called the others chart. What this does is it's the total crypto market excluding the top 10 cryptocurrencies. Why I like this chart to look at altcoins is it takes out Bitcoin and Ethereum because they're the majority of the market, and it takes out some of the top stable coins like Tether and USDC. So this is basically just pure altcoins. And if we zoom out to the longer term weekly trend, we can actually see a very firm trend line here starting in December 2022 that has served as the bottom for the altcoin market since then. And if we look to where the market is currently testing, we see this double bottom forming here on that major weekly trend line. And it looks like we have some sort of cup with handle, or you can maybe say an Adam and Eve pattern forming right here. Could there be a breakout to the upside of this trend line? If I do see, or if the market does see the market start to break out of this downtrend, that could be an indication that altcoins are starting to gain momentum again. But still, altcoins in the same holding pattern in that downward sloping channel. All right. Another chart that I want to show you guys that I think is quite interesting is gold. So if we take a look at gold here, gold has been trending upwards basically all year since January 2025. We have this nice uptrend for gold. Gold is typically seen as a risk-off asset, meaning people get into gold typically when the markets are risky or when the economy is uncertain. And that's really been the case here this whole entire year with the tariffs, etc. But look here, we actually have the market starting to test, if not break, the major daily trend line for gold. So I'm curious if we are going to see gold potentially start to retrace a little bit. And also, you can notice there's a triple top right here for gold. And then we get that big sell-off and slight break Looks like the market is retesting the major trend line. So between stocks making new highs, gold starting to sell off, I have a feeling we might at some point start to see that trickle into our total crypto market. All right. Next thing let's go ahead and look at here is a project and learn about, let's see, this is actually where I want to go. Let's look at an altcoin study that I have been paying attention to here. This is called Syrup Token, and I just want to go over the logic on how Syrup Token potentially behaved and why it behaved this way. So essentially, Syrup Token had this cup with handle pattern. This is a pattern that I look at with my students. And essentially what this pattern is showing us is that there was a downtrend. The downtrend started to recover and then hit resistance at the top of the trend. And then another smaller downtrend was created, and the bulls actually started engaging the market higher. So you can see here, we have our market lows, and now we have our higher low. And we're starting to see the market turn from a downtrend to an uptrend, smaller downtrend, smaller, more aggressive uptrend. And the key with this pattern that we were finding was that there was extreme volume coming in as the market was breaking out of this pattern. And that was the key piece here, is that there was a clear chart pattern. If you don't know chart patterns, this is a reversal pattern. And we saw the breakout of that reversal pattern, break through the neckline with huge volume. And this was a very interesting breakout because it had a significant move to the upside. And that's the stuff that I like to study, is when projects do make a significant move to the upside, what did the charts look like? What were the fundamental catalysts? Because this went up over 250%. And really what I see is a very, very clean chart pattern. Something that I teach a lot is the technicals in cryptocurrency. So if you want to learn more about those technicals, just let me know. And we'll keep going over different technicals, what's working, what's not in these crypto markets. All right, last thing let's go over is let's take a look at some of the major news that is happening in the crypto space right now. So a huge piece of news that just came out, and this is on the Ripple website, is the Ripple Ledger, XRP Ledger, EVM sidechain mainnet is live. So if you don't know what EVM is, it's Ethereum virtual machine. So basically they made a side chain that connects to Ethereum, which is really powerful. So now that those that use Ethereum, those that use XRP can now interact with each other with this side chain, which is potentially humongous. If we take a look at XRP, XRP here is the 4th largest cryptocurrency, and we have Ethereum here as the 2nd largest cryptocurrency. And up until now, they really did not communicate. So now with this side chain, the 2nd largest and 4th largest cryptocurrency will be communicating together. And that could be a very powerful combination. Could those on the Ethereum network start to connect and interact on the XRP network and vice versa? There's one thing in this space, it's called interoperability, which means operating in between different blockchains. That is a key piece to connect all these fragmented blockchains. So some of these chains, they are connected and some of them are not. You just have to figure out really which one is which. A little bit confusing, but the more these connect together, the more the entire ecosystem can work together. Second major piece of news is Robinhood launches stock tokens and a layer 2 blockchain. So that is really crazy. So they are tokenizing stocks and they're using a blockchain to do it. And it's really for a lot of EU and a little bit of the US. So let's break it down. So EU customers gain exposure to tokenized US stocks. So what this is saying is Robinhood in the EU, those users can't necessarily trade US stocks. But if they are tokenized, then they will have the ability to do it. And also they'll have the ability to do it 24 hours a day. So you have your 24-hour access. So all a tokenized stock is a cryptocurrency that is based on the value of a stock. It's based on a stock. It's basically a contract that shows that you own that stock. And they're using a layer 2. And that layer 2 is, is Arbitrum. Pretty crazy to see. If you don't know, Arbitrum is a layer 2 blockchain, meaning that it's built on top of a different blockchain. In this case, it's Ethereum. And Arbitrum just makes transactions faster and cheaper than Ethereum. And if we take a look at Arbitrum, the ticker is just ARBUSD. And we can go ahead and look at Arbitrum and maybe get an idea of, is there now attention on Arbitrum? So I'm looking at Arbitrum on the daily time frame. Actually, we can zoom out a lot more and kind of see how Arbitrum has been behaving. And interestingly, Arbitrum has been just trending downwards for quite a while, since April 2023. At least that's when it was listed on Coinbase. So the question is, are we going to see this trend actually flip at some point? We have our downtrend. Is that going to flip into an uptrend at some point in time? So what could potentially alert us to that? Well, what I teach is chart patterns. I think chart patterns could be a potential, right? We actually have a chart pattern right here called a double bottom. So we have two lows at the same level. Actually, there's one right here too. We have a low right here. We have a low right here. And then Arbitrum had this move to the upside. Pretty interesting. That's the cool thing about the charts, and something I teach my students all the time, is a lot of times the chart is going to give you the answer just in the past. All you have to do is just see in the past what happened. It's not a guarantee by any means, but sometimes the past can have patterns, right? That's technical analysis is all about patterns. And this move here from this breakout to the upside, 106%. Actually, I see another double bottom. Really interesting. Here's one low. There's another low. We can take our measurement tool out of the breakout to the highs, 146% move. So are we going to see something similar from Arbitrum if this double bottom actually plays out? So really interesting. You can see here, we're seeing some more volume build up on the right-hand side of Arbitrum. We have a low volume all the way over here, kind of medium volume, and now higher volume. That could potentially mean renewed interest into Arbitrum. Robinhood, one of the largest exchanges in the world, that is most likely significant when it comes to partnering up with a blockchain. And then finally, Robinhood is rolling out perpetual futures contracts for the EU traders, meaning they can take the market long, short, they can hedge their portfolios. It's going to give them 3x leverage. And then also, crypto staking is about to be launched in the US, meaning you can actually stake your crypto by using Robinhood. It looks like they're just going to start with Solana and ETH. All right, last thing is, now we're on the topic of tokenized stocks. It looks like Chainlink is partnering up with a company called X Stocks, where they are going to be partnering in tokenizing different stocks. So that basically, you can have your stocks as basically a cryptocurrency. You can transfer those cryptocurrencies to anybody else and even use them like payments, but they're actually representing stocks. So really cool stuff in the crypto space. But that takes us to the end of today's session. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Definitely let me know in the comments if you did, what you liked, what you didn't, what you want to see more of, and I'll just continue to just do my best to do what you want to see more of. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next lesson.